Good morning, and thank you for joining us today for our webinar with Astra and Artzel. We're going to go over document automation goes beyond accounts payable. And what does that mean? It means that we are all fairly familiar with accounts payable and automating the accounts payable process, and a lot of time and money is spent with other data entry into IFS. So when you're doing this manually, that means that you're spending lots of time, you're spending lots of money. It also means a lot of errors as well. So with those errors comes also more time of having to fix those errors. So what we're going to do today is we're going to show you a few examples of where automating your data entry could go ahead and eliminate these problems and save you a lot of time and money. And what we're going to go ahead today is we're going to tell you a little bit about ourselves, and then we're going to give you a demonstration. So about Astra, we've been an IFS products and services partner since 2008. We've been providing IFS services focusing on the same IFS targeted verticals. Our consultants are very well versed. They can do anything from a very small reporting project all the way up to a full-on implementation. We also have some other products, like today we're discussing FastDocs. We've said about FastAP. We also have another product called Auto Archive, which works perfectly for trying to get your documents quickly inside IFS. When it comes to our customers, here's a short list of some of our customers that we've worked with. Some of them we've done consulting for, some of them have some of our products, but we'd like to think and like to know that they're all very happy with a lot of the work that we've done. When it comes to our partner today that you're going to be hearing a lot from, our friend Bosco will be on the call, and he's going to be presenting right after this slide. And this is what they do. They do data capture. They're a large engineering team led by 8 PhDs. They have a lot of experience in the capture field. They've been working with clients who have thousands of documents to capture each year to clients who have millions of documents to capture each year. So it really doesn't matter how many documents you have. They can go ahead and handle your base of documents that you need. Now I'm going to pass it over to Bosco, and Bosco is going to show you a little bit of a presentation, talk to you a little bit more about how it works. Bosco?
Okay, well, so Chris has mentioned, he's talked about AP automation very briefly. As most of you know, accounts payable automation is focused strictly around invoice type of documents. But the solution that Artzel and Astra provide goes beyond simply doing AP automation. So I'm going to spend the next just quick couple of slides explaining the power of the capture platform, and then take you into a live demonstration. So we have a long association with Astra, and we're a certified technology partner. The solution Doc Alpha is a smart process platform that is designed to perform automated document capture, document classification, intelligent data recognition based on the document types that it encounters through the process, and then performing extraction on key fields that are applicable to that document type and that are necessary for any downstream workflow processing. Some sample document types that Doc Alpha is capable of doing, you see on the screen. I will not read every one of them. Invoices, of course, is there. But related to the whole financial side of the business, we can handle sales orders, purchase orders, goods received notes, credit notes, etc., certificates of analysis. So many of these documents, and we can go beyond, of course, the AP space into other areas or lines of business applications, such as medical, logistics, and so on. But today we're going to focus primarily on financial documents that go beyond invoices. In terms of the automation or the capture process, there are three basic levels. There are three levels of automation that the platform offers. One is basic capture, where you can take a structured form, simply throw it at the application and be able to locate the information you're looking for and rubber band or click on the field that you're looking to capture and point it to the variable, and it'll automatically populate. That is very quick, very efficient, works very well for a fully structured form. Basic capture with AutoFind is our self-learn option, and that very simply allows you to create a quick layout of what the form looks like and then simply tell Doc Alpha where to locate the information you're looking for. Turn on auto find, and the next time it encounters the form of the same kind, it will remember where the settings are and start to automatically populate the key fields, thereby reducing significantly the amount of keyboard entry that's required to capture information. The third and most powerful piece is advanced capture, where a very powerful logic, business rules, and validation are provided to do capture of structured, semi-structured, and even unstructured forms. You'll see an example of this in the two quick demonstrations I'll be providing very shortly. In terms of the capabilities of the recognition engine, OCR, which is optical character recognition, comes out of the box with the ability to read text, which is often referred to as machine print. ICR, which is intelligent character recognition, is where it is handprint versus handwriting, which is cursive. There are recognition engines available optionally to perform free-form handwriting as well as an option. OMR, which is optical mark recognition, the ability to look up to see if checkboxes have been filled, marks boxes, etc. All sorts of barcode recognitions, and as I mentioned, if there's a need to look at any specialized recognition capabilities, the platform has the ability to license different recognition engines to perform advanced recognition capabilities. Here is a quick high-level overview of the system architecture. I'll explain this quickly. To the left, where you see the scanner, the multifunction device, the fax, and so on, is the point of origination. So Doc Alpha is able to capture information from any source, including EDI, which is electronic data interchange, electronic data, XML files, file folders, FTP sites, fax server, and email, through the three means of acquisition that you see there: image acquisition, a scan station that allows you to physically connect to a physical scanner and capture paper documents directly, and auto registration. Once the document passes through the application, the recognition engine performs the optical character recognition, thereby extracting all the information from the document and provide it in a means that is required for your workflow. Verification is where you get to see the results of the optical character recognition and the extraction, and optionally you can have an approval station. What I want you to notice is at the point of doing data verification and validation, we can interact with multiple lines of business application to perform such validation. With Astra, we have direct integration with the FastDocs platform, which allows us to tap into database tables such as vendor tables, PO tables, GL allocation, and multiple different types of tables that relate to your to the application, as well as we can connect to an external database, and that's the FastDocs integration there. Once we're done with the process of extracting data, verifying it, and validating it, we then are able to export it to multiple lines of business. We have direct integrations with IFS. This is a code level integration, which means it's a very tight and very powerful integration with IFS, as well as other types of data exports. So I hope that made sense. We'll be taking questions at the end of the session. So I encourage you to write down your questions and save them for the end when Chris and I will be able to answer them. So with that said, I'm now going to move to a live demonstration of the application. And I'll keep it very brief, very concise, hopefully very relevant. And so here on my screen now, you will see that I've got 4 examples of different document types. One is a sales order. If I quickly open this one here, you'll see that it's got sales order related information, such as the sold to, the shipped to, the table elements, which include the quantity, description, item number, and so on, that need to be ordered. You'll see a very complex document, which is a certificate of analysis, multiple tables here. You'll see a document which is a credit note, and I want to point out that this credit note is a multi-page document, that it's got attachment pages associated with it. And you will also see sort of an invoice. What I'm going to do to simulate the scan process is to copy these documents over into a hot folder, which is the destination that, that Doc Alpha is monitoring. So this all happens in a completely automated fashion. You will see that I did not have to put any separator sheets to distinguish what the document types are or the number of pages inside of each document. This is a totally automated process, thereby eliminating a lot of the manual pre-sorting that typically occurs when you're dealing with batch scanning. In my second process, I'm actually going to show you another example whereby I'm going to take a number of checks, a number of different two document types, and a third document type here, copy them over, and put them into a destination, another destination that the application is monitoring. What I'm doing here is mimicking what we refer to as a workflow representing a process inside of a department, inside of your business. It may be in the AP automation side, it may be in the logistics, it may be in the payables or receivables. Doc Alpha has the ability to streamline those workflows by capturing the data and automatically processing them. The next step after capturing documents inside of Doc Alpha is to look at the results of the capture and then look at the results of the extraction as well. This step is known as verification and validation. What you're seeing here is the screen that an operator would perform those two steps. You will recall that I submitted two batches for processing, both from different document types. What I'm going to do here is select a batch. You can see that I can get the next batch in priority, in sequence, whatever it is. We can get the oldest batch first, so you have total flexibility in terms of which batches to process depending on the priority. On clicking the select batch, I'm presented with the batches that are in the queue. They are prioritized, as I mentioned, and you can quickly identify what these two batches are. One was a batch where I submitted checks and credits and invoices, and the other batch was where I submitted sales orders. So I'm going to bring the first batch in here and explain what this screen shows you. To the right, you will see the scanned image or the imported image that of the check of the different document types that have come in, as you can see here. To the top left is the batch structure. So Doc Alpha took a batch of multiple different documents and intelligently broke them out into different document types, as well as separated them out by the number of pages. You'll see the document I've highlighted here has got 2 pages. So the recognition process resulted in doing automatic page separation on multi-page documents, as well as if I go through these documents here, you'll see that this was recognized as a check, this was recognized as a credit memo, and this was recognized as an invoice. So this shows you the power of doing automatic document classification. The left middle pane is where we've determined which fields need to be extracted and captured for downstream processing. And as I go through each document type, I'll show you the automation of that process. And at the very bottom, we have a screen that reports any exceptions that we may have encountered in both the recognition process, where we did the optical character recognition, as well as exceptions on the validation and business rules. I'll talk about business rules in a moment. So as we go through these different documents, for the check, as an example here, if I click on the check number, you'll see where on the right side of the image I was able to obtain the check number. What I want to point out here is that this workflow required that we needed to make sure that the checks were signed. So we're using signature detection to ensure that the check that comes in was indeed signed. That's one example of check processing. If I move over to the next document type, which is a credit memo, obviously I'm looking for different information from this document type. And in this instance, I'm looking for the credit memo number. I'm looking for the date, who the credit was to, what the shipping information was. You'll also notice now that I'm able to extract automatically header and foot information. Foot information includes the subtotal, the discount, the tax, and the freight, and my totals. This is relevant to the credit memo document, and if I click here, you'll notice that we have the optional ability to do table or line item extraction, including all the fields. And as I tap through the fields, you'll see on the location and the corresponding image on the right where these fields are located. And one more document type, which is, we talked about going beyond invoice automation or AP automation, but you'll see that the fields I'm looking for in an invoice are obviously very different from what I might be looking for from a credit note or a check. Typically, the first process that an operator would have to perform is to ensure that Doc Alpha has done a good job of the optical character recognition. This is based on a percentage or a confidence level whereby we tell the system that if the recognition fails to meet a certain percentage confidence level, just simply report to us that which characters in which key fields you're looking for you found the exception, and allow us to correct it if it's necessary to correct it. To do that, I'm going to click on the little eyeball of the image here, and what Doc Alpha does now, it goes through and determines where there might be an exception. So you'll see here on the check number, the image is highlighted in the middle of this window that I'm shifting a little bit just for you to see where I'm at. In the light yellow highlight is the character that was seen on the check image, and up above where we've got the check number is what we translated into. In this instance, we did get it right. The reason for this process is to simply have Doc Alpha verify that it was a 0 and not an O, an I and not a 1 or an L, an 8 and not a B, and that's the primary reason for performing verification. If it's correct, literally you can tap to this document very quickly, and it'll find the next exception. The point here being that we need to only analyze the fields that are required for verification. Here is an example where, because of the quality of the document or the scan, it might have come through by fax. We did see the total amount. However, we missed a decimal place because this image is a very dirty image in terms of being able to recognize characters. So in this instance, I would have to fix this and continue my verification. Here, a 0 instead of a 9, confirm that, and I'm done. So that's the verification process. The next step is now to ensure that all the business rules and the logic that we've applied inside of this workflow are performed correctly. To do that, I will click on the validation wizard and walk you through some of the examples that you see here. I'd like to point out that this error message here is showing that there's a field sum arithmetic rule. So what that simply means is that what Doc Alpha is doing is that it's taking the quantity times the unit price, measuring and ensuring that this is correct. To illustrate how that works, I'll go ahead and break this rule here, and you'll notice that Doc Alpha will report that there is an exception. What I'm going to do is show this to you again in the next set of documents that I'm going to process, and business rules will become a lot clearer in this example. So before I leave this example, I just wanted to explain once again that Doc Alpha was able to take multiple document types, classify them as being checks or credits or invoices or POs, and then extract the relevant data based on the document type. Once we've performed this process, I can now, sorry, I'm just resizing this, I can now click on the green arrow and make sure that this is now ready to export. At this point, we're now going to release these documents to IFS for further processing. I'll click these, off they go to IFS, and I'm now going to bring in my next batch. Once again, what Doc Alpha does is it positions the image that these windows are sizable and can be moved around. To the right is the document image. To the top left is the batch structure. The middle is the data extraction, and the bottom is the error message handling. So as you saw before, if I go through the documents, this was recognized as a sales order, and the relevant information is extracted, including the line items. This one here is very interesting because this is a very complex document. Doc Alpha recognizes as a certificate of analysis inside of the same batch that there were other document types. And I'll show you the power of the extraction when we go through validation. And this document here is a credit note. And once again, if I show this to you, you will recall that the credit note was a 3-page document, and we identified the 3 pages as being attachment pages and not an individual document. So we'll perform the verification. In this case, I actually turned it off so we can process these documents a lot quicker. And let me now go through the validation and explain some validation rules. Validation is the ability for us to take information that we see on this document and then do a lookup against FastDocs that may be hosting other document tables that relate to this process, such as the vendor tables, the materials tables, taxes, and so on. So we're able to look up those tables and fetch information that may be necessary to perform validation. One example of that is when I look at this document, I've got a PO number here, but you'll also notice that I have an account number. This account number was done by lookup inside of FastDocs and brought back to the object to ensure that we're dealing with the right vendor in case there were multiple vendors with the same name. So that was done by way of a lookup inside of the database, as well as the ship via. So anything that you see in the light gray was actually obtained directly from a database lookup, including discount values and so on. Now, let's perform some validation on this. So the row in the database was found not to match the lookup. So I've now looked up the order table inside of the database and determined that it doesn't match what I created inside of the ordering table. So if I try and fix it, if I know that that quantity was 2, I'd like you to observe down below where the error messages are, that error goes away because I know that Doc Alpha told me that the quantity was 2, and I've now fixed that error that was located through the validation process. You'll also notice here that I'm missing a bill to and a ship to. You will recall I talked about AutoFind being able to learn automatically where the location of fields are, and that the next time it sees this sales order from Barno, it will remember where these fields are. So to populate the bill to, I simply locate that information on the image, rubber band it, and you'll see that it automatically populates the bill to. And takes me to the next field that requires my attention, which is the ship to, and the ship to is now populated. And you will also notice that the two exception messages that appear down below saying that information I was looking for was not available have now been fixed. Another example of a validation rule is this document does not have a total, so it's simply pointing out that there is no total. I have two choices now. I can actually accept it with the message or say I need to reject this. So at this point, what I could do is reject this document so that I can continue processing the other documents without interrupting the flow. I can also escalate these documents for somebody else's attention and say, no total, post that, and off it'll go for rejection. Here's where I just wanted to quickly show you the real power of the extraction capabilities of Doc Alpha. You'll see to the right, this is a very complex image, but you'll notice that once again, by way of a lookup, I was able to fetch a lot of information which is not the full vendor address, which is not there. I got other properties of the document which are on the actual document. But if you look at the complexity of this document, Doc Alpha has the ability to go through these documents and quickly extract all this valid information, including from pages 2 and pages 3 of this document. And as you can see, this document does not have a fixed structure to it. And if I expand this, you will also notice that there are multiple fields that Doc Alpha is capturing from different locations inside of these documents. So very, very powerful capability of doing intelligent data recognition and extraction depending on the doc types. That is a certificate of analysis. And if we take a look at the credit note, once again, this credit note was a 2 or 3 page document. There was no need to capture any information from the associated pages, but just a header page. On this document, you'll see that we got the, let me resize this window so you can see a little clearer here. You'll see we got properties like the credit number, the date. You'll also see that the date has been formatted, so we can automatically format fields to the desired format that's required inside of your line of business application, inside of FastDocs or inside of IFS. I've also got a free-form comment field that I can now just quickly capture information and populate. And once again, in terms of line item extraction, I've been able to extract the individual line items on this document. So these are the 3 different document types or 4 different document types that this workflow is able to automatically identify, extract information from. Once again, once I'm done, I'll just reject this particular document, and now these documents are good to go. I'll just I beg your pardon there. I want to just move this around so I can see my export there, and I'm going to export this. So you will recall that when I say export, these now go directly into FastDocs and IFS. That is the demonstration of 2 workflow scenarios. And to quickly summarize, we took different doc types that were a sales order, a certificate of analysis, a credit memo, and an invoice, and Doc Alpha was able to identify, separate, classify, and extract the information from those documents. And the second scenario was taking different doc types from our checks processing, and we took a check, we took a credit note, we took an invoice, and were able to extract different fields from the different doc types. For the check, we did the date, the check number, and the signature, and for the other documents, we extracted different data properties. One quick thing I wanted to show before I hand this back over to Chris to shield any questions is the export. So the one I'd like to illustrate here is the certificate of analysis. It was an extremely challenging document, as you saw. And I'm going to show you what the result of an export could look like inside of IFS or FastDocs. Is the searchable PDF image, which has been named intelligently with the data properties, and more importantly, all the extracted fields inside of an Excel sheet for this demonstration. And you can see that we've been able to identify all these fields, all the results, and provide them in an extremely usable format. These formats are easily configurable to multiple different types of formats. With that, I'm going to hand this over back to Chris to shield, to wrap and shield any questions that may have come up during our presentation. Chris, back to you.
Perfect. If there's any questions that you have right now, you can type them into the question bar, and we can go ahead and field those questions if it's something that you'd like to see Bosco show you, or if it's something you need a little bit of clarification on. So we have a few minutes if you'd like to go ahead and ask any questions. We can go ahead and take those in the questions field right now. We do have a question right here. The question is, will it work on any IFS version? And the answer to that is, for the most part, yes. We recommend after 7.5, but pending what you need is what we can get done if it's earlier than a version 7.5. We have a question of how many clients do we have using it. We're at a little over 15 clients that are using our document automation process. We have automated over 500,000 documents going into IFS currently. So we have done it for quite a few clients that have it available to use the document automation if it comes from either using sales orders or if it comes to the AP process. We've done it for quite a few clients. And like I said, over 500,000 documents have been automated through our process into IFS. There's more. They want to know how long the implementation is. Implementation can really vary. We like to say that it's somewhere around a month, but that really varies on what your business process is. Depends how much we have to capture, how much needs to get set up on the back end. The month, I would say, is the baseline that we can get you up and running, but that could trickle a little bit longer. It could trickle a little bit shorter, all pending on your business processes. Thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate you joining our webinar. If you'd like to have any further questions, please feel free to contact me. We'll go ahead and email a recording of this to you just in case there's any of your colleagues that missed the presentation, or if you'd like to pass on to someone else in maybe a different department that you think this would be interesting to. Thank you again for your time and appreciate you joining our webinar today.